In this video, I want to talk about the magic of bodybuilding. Now, when I say bodybuilding, I'm not referring to the competitive sense. No, I'm talking about recreational lifters whose goals are to put on a lot of muscle mass, look better, look juicier, aesthetics. Basically the physical, not necessarily performance related. So let's break this down. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is that with bodybuilding, there's no rules. Everything goes, and there are a million different ways to skin a cat. In other words, your training routine doesn't really matter so much. The exercise selection is like, meh. I mean, we all know thousands of bodybuilders who ran totally different routines and still got to the end place. Because hypertrophy is a pretty basic goal to achieve. As long as progressive overload is taking place over a long period of time, doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter if you're going heavy, if you're going light, if you're doing a barbell bench press or a dumbbell bench press. Doesn't matter. If improvements are made over a long period of time, you're getting enough volume, you're choosing effective movements that address your weaknesses, guess what? You're going to be jacked as hell. All this talk about specificity and periodization, all of it is like, all right, it's cool. It's cool to see, but there's no rules, man. You don't have to be specific for your sport. You can just focus on general strength and everything is going to be perfectly fine. You're not shackled to the chains of certain movements. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to pull from the floor. You can do block pulls. You don't have to do a pause bench. You can do a touch and go bench. You don't have to back squat. You can do a front squat. And no one can say anything because it just matters how you look like. Hey, if your back is wide, if your back is thick, if you got meaty pecs, nice arms, hey, you succeeded, man. All that matters is how you look in the mirror. You don't have to perform like a competitive athlete. You don't have to follow these rigid rules. You can do whatever you want. That's what's so beautiful about bodybuilding, man. It is the most flexible way to train, hands down, because there's no specificity. It's just doing whatever you want, getting the volume in, progressive overload, boom. And there are so many different ways. A lot of guys do rest pause. Some people do super high volume. Others do super high frequency. There's a million ways, man. That's why it's so awesome. And it also explains why many online coaches is bodybuilding. You got a client, it's like, hey, I can write any workout you want. Cool stuff. And it's like, resistance is resistance. You can even build your body with push-ups, man. I mean, we all know these guys who they use calisthenics as their base. Weighted calisthenics, weighted dips, weighted pull-ups. Then in the gym, they do a little bit of accessory work here and there to really finalize that body. And it's all good. It doesn't matter what numbers they're lifting. It just matters what they look like. So bodybuilding makes you free in that sense. It makes you free because the only thing you're chasing is the looks. And that can be achieved through a variety of different means. So if you look good, you made it. If you don't look good, you got more work to do. The second thing, which is really awesome, is the fact that aesthetics are subjective. If you don't compete, again, there's no rules. You can craft the body that you want. You're the sculptor. You have complete control as to what you want to do. You can be the guy with massive arms, a crazy V-taper, meaty pecs, and chicken legs. And you know what? It works. You can totally pull it off. Whereas if you were a strength athlete and you had a serious imbalance like that, well, that's going to cost you. But if you just live for yourself and you got physique goals, you can do whatever you want. I mean, hell, just look at the naturally enhanced philosophy. I was the first guy who really identified what these muscle groups were. The neck, traps, upper back, shoulders, forearms, and glutes. I created that image of looking like yoked, that bear mode image. That was like my ideal. But it might not be the ideal for you. And that's why bodybuilding is special. And if we just bring it back to the competitive environment, for example, I mean, we got classic physique, we got the bodybuilding. You even look at the women. We got physique, we got bikini. You get what I'm saying? Different divisions, different categories, different ways to look. You can look like an MMA fighter if you want. You can look like a swimmer. You can look like a gymnast, a calisthenics athlete, a field athlete. Any goal that you want, I mean, you're just crafting accordingly. And it's so simple to do. I mean, just look at the muscle groups that you want to develop, hit it with some volume, hit it the right exercise selection. It's going to grow. So it doesn't matter if, say, your spinal erectors are lagging or your hamstrings aren't popping out as much, or if you have chicken calves. It doesn't matter whatsoever because it's your goal and you can look however you want. Same thing for the body fat. You don't have to be shredded if you don't want to. You can be decently lean. You can be bear mode. You can rock a beard. You can look however you want. It's very flexible in that way because there's just no rules. Whereas in a competitive environment, well, you might be restricted by a weight class. You see what I'm saying? Or you might be carrying too much weight. Maybe you're too fluffy, which is negatively impacting your competitiveness. Maybe your leverages aren't right for a given sport. You see what I'm saying? It goes deep, man. Maybe you're too lean for a sport. Maybe you have to add a little bit more fat. That's what I'm saying. With bodybuilding, you're the captain of your own ship. You do whatever you want. You have your own physique goals and you craft accordingly, and people can't say shit because it's what you want. Aesthetics are 100% subjective. A guy's like, hey man, your legs are looking too small for that V-taper. All you gotta say is, hey, aesthetics are subjective. This is the look that I like. Look at gymnasts, same thing. So that's what's beautiful about it. You do whatever you want. And then finally, one thing that I really love is the fact that size is easy to maintain. And all you gotta do is address certain key areas. Like if you have muscular imbalances, that's what takes priority in your training. In other words, if your back is overdeveloped, well, you can be lazy as hell on your back. You can actually run a minimalist routine, even though I don't promote that. You can lay low, barely even train it. Go easy if you will. I know that for the legs, there are many, many people who don't go hard anymore. Louis Marco, for example, I believe he does not squat because his legs are already at a place where he's very content. And by him not even doing the squats, they maintain just fine. So he's like, hey, why should I put much effort into it? That's what happens when you build an amazing physique naturally. The size is easy to maintain. Provided you don't do a serious cut, you're going to maintain the size, no problem. It's easy, easy, easy. And you can switch your routine from something hardcore to something basic, and you're going to be just fine. And then you can use that focus to really improve upon your weaknesses. Whereas with a strength sport, it's like, these are the muscles that you got to attack for the sport. This is the movement pattern you got to learn. These are the exercises you got to compete in. And in most cases anyway, you know, this is the performance that you're expected to do. In bodybuilding, it's like, hey, my back is already super juicy. So you know what? Let me train my arms really hard. Let me lay off the back a little bit. It's like, hey, I got big legs. I'm not going to train them that hard anymore. I'm going to train them once a month. Why not? You know, I'm not saying you should train them once a month, but you have that flexibility. It's all about crafting that physique that you want. Once you understand that there are no rules and that everything is subjective, you do whatever you want. You train however you want. You attack whatever you want. That's what it's all about. True freedom. No shackles. If you don't compete, you're a recreational lifter whose goal is to look better. Well, you decide if you look good enough. Simple as that. Just like how you decide how you want to rock your facial hair. Some people might say, hey, you look better clean shave. Others might say, hey, you look better with a beard. At the end of the day, it's your face. And unless somebody has a razor against it, I mean, it's going to stay the way you want it to stay. So you're creating that. You're the creator of your own destiny. It is the bodybuilding destiny, the aesthetics destiny, if you will. So I just wanted to touch upon this subject very quickly. I thought it was a fascinating subject because when you really think about it, it's like, hey, you can do whatever you want. So many different ways to get results because hypertrophy is an easy goal to accomplish. You get enough volume, you pick the right movements, you address the weaknesses, the physical weaknesses that you want to, and you're good to go. Everything goes for the most part, you know? So there you have it. That's the magic of bodybuilding. I want to know from you, what do you like about it? Give me your feedback down below and I'll talk to you all in the next video.